Welcome to another episode of Chad and Steve Have a Podcast. In today's episode, we talk about estranged YouTube videos, OG content creators, the Streamy Awards, and how Steve has an obsession with cat live streams. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to Chad and Steve Have a Podcast and leave a comment if you would like to say hello. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Chad and Steve Have a Podcast. Wow, Chad, that was your best intro ever.
I think it just keeps getting better week after week.
And we say that every time, don't we?
It's starting to become a thing. We have things now.
It's the intro gag. Something. I don't know.
Well, let's just skip ahead to asking how you're doing, Steve.
I'm doing really well. I had a good video last week. I mean, it was kind of surprising. I'm going to pull this up because it's surprising. You know how YouTube does this thing? They just started doing, maybe, what was it, last year or so, where they say, ranking by views, your last 10 videos.
What a handy feature. The best feature that they've brought.
It is.
In I don't even know how long.
So my last video I posted was number 1 out of 10, and it's a lot by it. It's beat out the other ones by a lot, and it is. I think, and maybe you can help me think this through, is just the title of it, because it has a crappy thumbnail, and all it says is, "I made a bridge across my dining room for my cats. This is my life." And I thought it was just kind of a funny title because I couldn't think of anything to call it. And this is just part of an ongoing series that I've been doing of these videos about building this stuff for my cats. But literally, I just thought this was going to be like lower than the 10th. It was going to be like one of the worst ones. And I just knew that because there's hardly any content in it. I made like, I don't know, I shot like 3 minutes or something of actually building this bridge for the cats. And then the rest of the video, I'm just like talking to the audience, which I love doing. That's kind of like my favorite thing to do. And I talked about like Halloween videos and, spooky videos. But for some reason, this video was number 1 out of the past 10. And it just floored me because I was never expecting that. It was like, I feel like sometimes I feel like I just phone them in, and I probably shouldn't be admitting that, but I don't know.
Now, you're pretty diverse with your titles, so let's dig into the title first. I made a bridge across my dining room for my cats. This is my life. Now, you are one to not really have any like huge titling standards, as in you sometimes do questions, you sometimes do kind of clickbaity ones, you do a whole mixture. Have you done kind of something similar to this style, where it's literally just kind of like a statement like that? Because I have found sometimes when you do that, you take one small particular thing, and may I also say that thumbnail might not be as boring as you think it is.
Depends upon which one you're seeing.
Oh, because we have an A/B test going on
right now. Yeah. So
coming out with your brand new videos out of the gate with A/B tests, or do you wait a little while?
I do it the first day. I mean, and the A/B test doesn't start until midnight. So the first, my thumbnail A is on there for the whole first day, basically, until midnight, and then the test starts. And so the one that's showing right now is just me. I'm nailing on some trim onto a board. It's like nothing.
Us here in Canada are seeing you what looks like to be drilling in a screw, probably.
Yeah, that's probably the one, maybe.
Yeah. It's a good thumbnail. There's a good perspective of the back of your workshop. You get to see that you're clearly in a workshop. There's a really interesting line which is kind of going through, drawing your eye into the middle of the thumbnail, which is instantly eye-catching. And you're wearing a very contrasting blue shirt. And it looks like, just in a very quick shot, it's very clear what you're doing. Within a millisecond of looking at it, it's a very clear thumbnail. So I actually quite like that thumbnail. However, that doesn't work in many cases, as in you've done this many, many times before.
So I'm looking at, it looks like the thumbnail test is already done. I didn't realize that. And that's you're looking at the winner. Yeah, obviously. The other one was me installing the bridge. So you just see me standing there and holding it up against the wall. So it's more of like a completed project kind of thing, and that was my first one that I put on there. And I should know, because usually whenever I show a completed project, those never really perform as well as if I show part of the project that I'm
Right.
building. There's more mystery involved. And I know that I've talked about this before, but I'm the same way. If I'm looking through woodworking videos and I see a full completed project, I just kind of look at it and go, oh, that's interesting. And then I'm like, well, I don't need to watch it now. I just saw
Save
the,
myself 18 minutes of my time
it's
now.
like Pinterest, you know, it's just become the YouTube thumbnail is just a Pinterest photo. Anyways, I just thought it was surprising to see that. And it just goes to show there's just no, there's really no way of predicting these things. You think you can, and I try to figure it out, but when it comes down to the content on that video, it wasn't any better. In fact, I don't think it was all that great, but there you
It's
go.
sad to think that it ultimately just does usually come down to thumbnail and title combination, and regardless of whether it's content which you kind of really want to have that attention or just something that just happenstances along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really shows the amount of luck that's involved in
It
all
really
of this, and just the stuff that you don't think about. And that's what I love about the A/B test, because it allows you a chance to do something that you wouldn't think would
right.
work and actually see tangible results and see sometimes how wrong you are.
The funny thing about those A/B tests is that it's almost always my B test that wins out. And my first instinct on thumbnail is almost always wrong. The variation almost always wins on mine. So usually I always kind of think my first instinct is always the best on most things, but
It's
oh
because
no.
you've watched it so much, isn't it?
Yeah. I think
Maybe you're
so.
so like involved in it and you think you know what it is. I mean, maybe. Actually, maybe you, I mean, it's going to work in your favor, because whatever your gut instinct is, you just do the opposite of it and you're going to have success each time.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Hey, I know I got another question for you. Have you ever done any of your videos posted them as a premiere, done the whole premiere thing, you know?
Yes, once
Just
a
one
few
time.
months ago, and it screwed up the whole way the views were counted on the video. It was the only
Really?
time that had ever happened, and I shared that with our YouTube manager. I was like, "Hey, I posted this video. It was actually supposed to be a really good video, and I got excited about this premiere kind of feature, which they were wasn't even testing at the time. It was like it was fully integrated into a way that you could launch a video, and there was some people who kind of like watched it live, and then there's the chat section, I guess. It's like a live chat section that you do. And then after the 15 minutes of it being kind of like live streamed in that way, it went onto the channel and it just sat there, and it didn't do it. It did unlike any other video that we've released on our channel. Eventually, I think the views ended up getting up to like a respectable level on that particular video, but it started out and it was just seemed like it was being so hampered in one way or another
Hmm.
because of that. Have you tried it yet?
No. And do you think that was just a glitch on that one
Could
time?
very well have been, and
Yeah.
perhaps it actually was also just something that was bound to happen to that particular video, whether I had made it a premiere or not. But that was my one and only experience, and
Yeah. I was thinking about because I've got my Halloween video. I just finished shooting, editing. It's in the can, already uploaded on YouTube. I actually sent you a link so you can take a preview of it if you want. It's
do I get a
unlisted.
sneak preview?
You get a
It's
sneak
one of the
preview.
benefits of
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned in there, you listen to it with your headphones because I spent a lot of time working on this sound. I love working on these Halloween videos. They're so much fun. I mean, I was
sound
just
design is one of the most underrated thing in
it's
any
so
video.
fun. And just putting in these little bitty and little
Yeah.
sounds and little background things that you don't think about it. But when I'm watching the video through multiple times and I think something is missing here. What does it need? And it just needs that little sound, some sort of a sound effect. And luckily you can find all of these on YouTube. People are, upload all kinds of sound effects and you just
Yep.
download them. So it's pretty handy. You know what I did? Oh, first of all, the Premiere thing. I got two things I was going to ask you about. The Premiere thing is that I was thinking, well, maybe I'll do that on this. I've never done the Premiere, but I thought, well, maybe I could do it on this one. And I know it's like you premiere it and then there's a chat that goes along with it. And I know when the feature first came out, it didn't go over very well, but that's the way YouTube is. People
That's
don't
usually
like
the
it.
way it is.
Yeah. People are like, just post the damn video. Why do you have to make us wait for it to, I don't know. But I think now people have gotten used to it. And I love the way YouTube says premiere your video and help build the hype around it.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no hype around my videos.
There's a few people that are excited to see it, and they're going to be there whether I hype it or not.
I suppose. But you know what I did on this video is I intentionally used a copyrighted song. It's a song that I just wanted for this video. In fact, in a way, the whole video is kind of framed around this song, even though it's at the end of the video. And I just thought this would be the funniest juxtaposition to have this song with, and I think you know what it is, because I think I mentioned it to you before.
You did.
But with this kind of like spooky stuff going on, and then it gets lighthearted. And so this is the first time I've ever used a song knowing that it's going to be demonetized, or demonetized, right? Halloween. So, but I uploaded the unlisted one, and it tells you like instantly, it's like ineligible for monetization, even though I'd already checked do not monetize. Yeah.
But they're quick, eh? Those filters pick it up right quick.
Bam, right away. There it is. And it says this isn't, as I expected, it says this isn't a strike or anything against your channel. It's just like, we're going to take money off of this thing. But the question I have is, if it said it will change your monetization settings or something, because I had mine set to not monetize it. But does that mean they're going to put the ads on there with it, even though I'm not monetizing it? They're not going to take I don't know if
They just don't give the money to you. I believe that would go towards the person.
So it will be.
So they're going to run ads regardless, because it's being run.
They're going to run the ads
on YouTube, obviously, and then they just take the money and they would pay Universal Music Group or what. I don't remember the song, and I don't know if you want to spoil it or not. But it's literally in every single movie, it's when stuff's really going bad, to like stuff starts going your way and there's a montage, this is the song. So
right,
go ahead.
Yeah, this is exactly it. That's exactly it. I didn't know though if I don't know. I guess I don't know how to say this. I guess what I'm confused about is, do they take like AdSense monetization from that video when I'm not monetizing it myself, or is it just the fact that they get to play that or put that ad on your description saying download it from BMG Music Group or whatever?
Or quite possibly both things. Obviously you do get the ad, so therefore people can like, hey, I like that song, I'm gonna go use it in the montage sequence of my YouTube video. So I'm gonna go
exactly. Yeah.
Have you ever inquired about trying to get copyright music?
The rights for it?
I mean, with all of the royalty-free music and stock music, which is available now, it's you can easily go without having to use any kind of like copyrighted music. But kudos for taking the bullet on that one. You're going to release a piece of content that you're not just going to be able to monetize. So you're doing it for the love of that scene. You were in editing and you're like, I'm willing to demonetize the video so that I can have the ultimate montage song happen during my montage.
It is the best montage ever. And it is weird when I think about, okay, I can't monetize this video, and I have spent probably an inordinate amount of time editing this thing, way more than I do any other video. And it's probably just because the nature of my Halloween videos not going to get very many views anyway.
Yes.
But yeah,
they're usually they're a low performer for you, right?
They are. This is but this video, doing these every year is like, this is why I started doing YouTube. Yes. This kind of video is the stuff I love doing, these kind of videos,
it's nice to be reminded about that. And it's all nice to be in the position that you're in, where even the other videos that you're doing fall more in line with the type of videos that you want to be doing right now.
Right.
So we received notification from the Streamies today.
Ooh.
Nominations had been announced. And in the 10 years that we've been doing it for 10 years, we've been trying to maybe get an award of some sort for the past 7 or 8 years. And this year, I'm proud to say we didn't get a nomination again.
I had my finger all on the applause button. I don't
Do
have
we
a
have sound effects like
I
there?
don't have a sound effect. No, but if I did, I was going to play that sound effect. You know, someday we'll get to that point where we have those instant sound effects. But
I
so why you didn't get any nomination then?
Nothing whatsoever. And again, I think I mean I lamented this point whatever the last time we spoke about it, and I mentioned the fact that the category was a little odd. So allow me to tell you the 5 people who are nominated in this particular category. The
What is the
category is
category again?
learning and education. So
Oh,
think
okay.
of every educational YouTube channel you can think of, and every learning, whatever that means, channel. So the first one is Chris Fix, who I think has about 5 million subscribers or something like that. I think he's just like a mechanic who like fixes cars and gives good practical advice. Been doing it for a very long time. Well done, Chris Fix. Only JS is from TikTok. Didn't know she also has a YouTube channel. And if you remember Matthew Santoro,
Oh,
who
sure.
used to do the 50 interesting,
Yeah.
a lot of people, there was a very popular time
Yeah.
on the platform where people would just go and buy National Geographic, like 1,000 interesting fact books, and then just turn them into, and literally just read facts. And it's just like, anyways.
Did he start that whole genre of this kind of top 10 and this, that, everything?
I wouldn't go as bold as to say, perhaps he did. I certainly don't know. He popularized it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 5 million subs on the platform when 5 million subs was like, holy crow, you have 5 million. So yeah, no, and it was just that type of content, which really was really digestible. And I think he actually has recently like moved away from it, or he's not doing that
He
kind
got
of
involved
content
in, he had some little controversy or something with his channel, and I don't know what all it was. It was drama. It was YouTube drama, I think.
It's true. And I actually think there was like plagiarism, like, because I think part of his research for a video was just going and repurposing, BuzzFeed articles of the same, 7 interesting things you didn't know about the Civil War. And yeah, and they were like in order, and it was like kind of verbatim to like, you could, yeah, exactly. So perhaps a little bit more than just, anyways, only JS I did watch, and again, the same kind of an interesting kind of modern take. She's a young person. She certainly is using and she has like 9 million followers on TikTok.
What is she doing? She does TikTok videos?
Yeah, just I mean,
on
the limited, exposure that I had to like checking it out, just in anticipation of speaking about it. I mean, she's funny, and the videos are kind of well done for the platform and whatnot. But ultimately, it is just kind of like, here's an interesting thing you didn't know about. Here's a cool little hack. Here's a kind of interesting thing. And then it gets into what has been kind of overtaken in this category, which is the science channels. How does hydrogen mix with this? Why is the planet like that? Vsauce, Michael, and da. So Mark Rober, who I believe we talked about last time. And again, kudos, well-deserving. Like the videos, how to take a flamethrower and turn it into a thing, and what happens when you like.
I want to turn a flamethrower into a thing.
Right. What happens when you set a 100-foot yacht on fire? And it has a great thumbnail, and it's very interesting. I get why there's a lot of, and he's a former NASA scientist, so I'm not like in any way, comparing these. Niall Red and Peter Serpol, I looked at both of them. They have a couple million subscribers on their channel, and it's the exact same type of content, kind of that interesting, kind of borderline clickbaity or like extreme science experiments. What happens if I take this and dump it into a giant thing of that? And a lot of surprised faces on the thumbnails and whatnot. But to circle back around, it is very frustrating that crafting channels and sewing channels and woodworking channels and cleaning and organizing channels and channels which teach people second languages and history-specific channels and channels specifically about geography or traveling or cultures or religion or da-da-da, everything gets lumped into this. But of course we have, an award section for dance channels, literally just an award for, the dance channels. And I get it. I don't want to be that old cranky guy, but coming from the maker space,
they're all flossing.
Where's the maker award? Where's the person who like is creating content, which also creates really cool stuff? Where's the space for people like yourself or Jimmy DiResta or like these people who are doing great, interesting things? But right now science is hot, so the whole education and learning category is kind of like consumed by either interesting facts or kind of like extreme YouTube video style takes on. It isn't so much about the experiments; it's about the sensationalism of the experiment and making it be as like kind of like clickable and shareable as possible, because it's like there's no relatability to it. People watch your channel to learn how to woodwork. People don't kind of really learn. I mean, I guess you do certainly learn from it, but it's not like I'm gonna now go blow up my station wagon.
The thing that surprises me most about that was Matthew Santoros. Honestly, I didn't realize he was still doing that, and it was on that top 3 number 3 spot for that. It's odd.
He was he was very relevant for a very, very long period of time. And I don't even think he's doing those types of videos right now. But out of all of the people that I did see nominated for a Streamy, Anne Riordan, who has a channel called How to Cook That, and she ended up going through and revamped her channel from, I mean, she still does baking and cooking, and she's an amazingly talented baker. But now she's found success in going through and kind of outing and exposing content farms like BuzzFeed and 5 Minute Crafts and whatnot, because in her space, the YouTube landscape's kind of been like taken over by just huge content farms who can produce recipes and whatnot. And then she goes through and actually tests some of these recipes to see if it's actually viable. And some of them end up being kind of dangerous and potentially either poisonous, or like showing you how to incorporate things into food that shouldn't be incorporated into food. And these channels are just producing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos a day, and they're just consuming all of the views and whatnot. And little channels like Anne's, but independent channels like Anne's that are trying to get ahead in this space just are really struggling. So it was nice to see she's gotten a whole new audience. Now her videos get millions of views like they used to with her baking and cooking content. And now it's for her kind of being this person on the scene to kind of like point a finger and out some of the horrible things that are happening with content creators on this platform right now.
So when are the awards then? How does the whole thing work? Do you know?
December 13th, and then I think it's all just kind of, I don't know, I'm sure they'll do some socially distanced thing where everybody accepts their award on a Zoom call or something like that. And I guess every year I kind of get a little excited because it's like it would be maybe there's a chance. And then it's sometimes kind of tough to, not tough, but it's a little disheartening to like see like the creators of the year, like Logan Paul and David Dobrik.
And you seem to,
I get it.
It seems like, and this is the way the YouTube Rewind was back before it all fell apart, but it was always kind of, it started to seem like you were always seeing the same people on there, and you kind of get into this. There's all these different like groups in YouTube and like who rises to top, and everybody just keeps going with these same people for whatever they need and even YouTubers themselves. And I would see this at VidCon and a couple of other places and I saw this at Maker Faire. I went there a couple of years ago to do a little small panel there, and a lot of the YouTubers would all like gather around like in these circles, like a huddle, sort of all just talking, and you would see fans and people out like behind them, just like I kind of want to engage with them, but it was like this tight group, and I didn't. It kind of gave me an icky feeling in a way. I'm like, I don't like that. Do your fans are the people who are watching your videos,
We ended up meeting each other at VidCon, didn't we? For the very, very first
might
time.
have,
Was it not on the second floor at VidCon? I mean, you were up on the third floor. You had the whole industry pass. You were working it. And that was like your fourth or fifth VidCon. You would bring Wyatt and all of the rest. That was our first VidCon. We had no idea what to expect. And that was a little eye-opening. That was
VidCon is a zoo.
It is a
zoo. And
when you're in that, when you're in the space where you have, a massive following and literally 75% of every single person who's there is there just to kind of see these few creators and like whatnot, it stops any kind of like networking between creators. And that was what was brilliant about ClamorCon, because it was like a nice departure from that, not having fans about and whatnot. But remember the one, I think Logan Paul showed up and then like they make entrances
Oh,
into these things.
celebrities.
Like
Yeah.
everybody kind of knew, like, yeah, and then Casey Neistat's literally being kind of treated like a Jack Nicholson from from when he used to go to the Oscars or whatever.
So I met Smosh back when they were still together and still a big channel. I mean, they're still a big channel, but it's not like Smosh, like it
Yes.
was. But because my only experience with a multi-channel network, remember those MCNs? I don't even know if they
True.
still exist anymore. They probably do under a different name or
It's just
something.
a bit of a different, yeah, they have a different skin, I think, now.
So I was part of Defy, and Defy was like ground zero of they're the ones that just crashed and burned, folded up, and took everybody's money and everything. Luckily, I got out of that deal. I was only in it for like a year, and it did mean nothing, and I got out of it before all of that happened. But when I was in there that year, I went to VidCon, and they had a special room for all Defy creators. It was like their lounge, the Defy lounge, and you could go up there and hang out and meet the other creators who were also part of that network. And Smosh, those two guys were the biggest creators that Defy had. In fact, I think Defy owned Smosh, or they bought Smosh. And so they had, talk about the celebrity culture. Then they had a special in this lounge room, which is only creators. There's not fans or anything up there. They had a special booth, and it was like this glass enclosed aquarium, sort of, with a door on it, where Ian and Anthony could go in there when it was just like, I'm getting too stressed out with everything, and they could just go in there and play video games and sit and hang out, and just like, it was like their room to chill out, even though it was completely visible. So there was like this weird cage. You were watching these.
Voyeuristic. You can just
It was
watch.
very, very
What?
odd. But I did meet, and I got to talk to both of them, and they were just the nicest guys. They really are nice guys. And I think they got kind of shafted on the whole deal. They sold out. So I don't want to say sold out, but they sold their channel really early on, like
That's right.
in 2011, maybe something. Sold it to like a bigger, they didn't even own their own channel, and they became employees, which is really bizarre. And at one time, Smosh was the biggest channel on YouTube, most
And
subscribers.
every single video would trend.
Yeah.
YouTube was so behind it because they were almost the epitome of what worked on the platform at the time. A couple of guys just being like, hey, sketch comedy, put some funny videos together. And it really seemed for a very long time that that's what it's about. And I think that's ultimately what led to Anthony kind of partying and whatever, because it became a business. I got that. They had 100 different channels. They had television shows and movies. It was a crazy time. And 2011 through like 2014, it's like this new media platform is out there creating new superstars.
Yeah.
But there was no understanding of what you're kind of supposed to do once you're there. And even YouTube didn't know. I mean, to their credit,
almost the golden age of YouTube back then. And now that I think about it, up until about 2015 or so, maybe, is where there were still these YouTube, they started early on, and they built their channels up, and they became these celebrities, and there was the whole YouTube culture. And every year you would look forward to that YouTube rewind, because you would get to see these people all in that doing their thing. And
it was the one time that it wasn't about like who was getting the most views. It was like YouTube Rewind was about like YouTubers and like the people on the platform doing great things at YouTube. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's exactly exactly what it was. And then it just, I guess it's inevitable, just company gets bigger and bigger, and it starts having all these other outside interests come in. And I think the last kind of telling sign was when that whole T-Series PewDiePie race to who was going to have the most subscribers. And I think that PewDiePie can still hold his head high, knowing that he is the most subscribed to YouTuber, because T-Series is not a YouTuber. You know what I mean?
I think ultimately the internet gave up. There was a wonderful period where clearly, based upon trajectory, he should have been overtaken at a certain point. And he kind of like rolled with it and kind of worked with it and made it into a thing, which ended up getting him what an incredible surge in subscribers during that time. Like all of the people that just kind of
Yeah.
came. That was actually the time that I took the clean, and I think we're subscribed to maybe like 5 people on the actual Clean My Space account. And I took the account and I went and I subscribed because I just wanted to in some small way contribute
I did
to
too.
like
Yeah.
this brief, and it was for months. They made it happen for months. It should have
Was.
happened a long time ago, and then on Reddit or whatever, and he would just get a huge surge, and he would literally get like 1 million subs in a day. It's like, oh, you're getting a plaque mailed to you every single day.
It was incredible, incredible. And there was there was a channel who was live streaming those 2 figures, I think from Social Blade at the time when
Yeah,
you could do that on,
yeah.
and that live stream became like the most popular live stream ever on YouTube. 24 hours, 24/7, just showing numbers.
Isn't what, like, that's kind of what that battle was about.
Yeah.
That battle, excuse me, that like
It
we
was a
were all
battle. It
following it
was a
because it was
battle.
like, here's a guy who it was a huge battle, and here's just a guy who like started making videos, and to this day, with all of his success, still makes videos just every
Yeah.
single day, the same type of videos. Seems to be the same type of guy with a whole different world that he lives in, but he really does come across as that. And I can't think of anything which represents big corporate media conglomerate just pushing out. I think they were like 400 or 500 videos a day. It's like, how do you go up against that?
Yeah, it was
You know?
crazy. And it was a perfect, like, just metaphor of
Yeah.
what YouTube was.
And
And
I think at the end, we I'm speaking on behalf of the entire internet.
you
But
go, go.
I think they or it or that surge just kind of like, all right, we drag this along. Like clearly, inevitably, they are just going to organically overtake. And I think he called a stop to it, and all of the rest. I think
Yeah.
he also made that a thing. But yeah, you're absolutely right. To go back to what we were talking about before, like early in the early 2010s was a time where it's like there was no plan for what you were supposed to do with it. So that
Mhm.
Smosh ran out and had 5 different channels, and they all ended up getting 10 million subs and producing content and bringing more people on. And Philip DeFranco ends up getting big and then starts
Yep.
source fed and wants to make a news, da da da. And I think along the way, people are now just focusing on the end bits of people's success and not the kind of the initial push that initiated what helped the success in the first place, which was like just putting up a Halloween video because you like making Halloween videos,
It's
and you
sick.
put more thought into that than you do with any other type of content that
Yeah.
you put out there. And that's what makes YouTube special. That's what I subscribed to PewDiePie for, because that's what makes YouTube special.
Well, it's also like the video we had a couple podcasts ago where we talked about, is there still room on YouTube for YouTubers? And I think that, really the point there is what is a YouTuber? And I think we're starting to really see what a YouTuber sort of is or was and can
Mhm.
still be. But there's also this whole new breed of people coming in that, they have a whole game plan, and so it's just a different landscape. It's not to say they can't make good content or anything, but it's, I think of like Mystery Guitar Man back
Yeah.
in early 2010s. He was making these amazing videos, just amazing videos. They're a couple minutes long, and then he ended up, producing a feature film. He made Arctic. I don't know if you've
It's
seen it, but it's a really good movie with
on Netflix, isn't it? I think.
yeah, probably Mads Mikkelsen's in it. And so he kind of graduated, but that was his game plan all along, is he really wanted to make movies. And so he had like spent his time on YouTube, honing that craft of making special effects and doing all this stuff, and probably working really fast. I don't know how he could produce those videos one a week without a
Like
huge
by
staff.
himself, or at least with a small
Right.
staff at the time, because it was unheard of to have a registered business where the prime source of income is like
Right.
your YouTube video ad earnings and sponsorships and whatnot. So he was putting all of this work into it. Well, clearly because he's an insanely talented artist and he made amazing music, but he also had that element of making amazing videos.
Right.
If anybody is listening to this and doesn't know Joe Penna or Mystery Guitar Man, that's a great throwback channel to. I actually visited like a few months ago. I checked his channel out and watched some of his older videos. They're an absolute joy to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. There's other YouTubers that kind of moved on in different ways. Like Freddie Wong. Do you remember that? He started Jumpstart Studios.
Yep.
I think that's what it's called. And I think he's like producing more like, mainstream content now. And then Ryan Higa. Do you remember Ryan Higa? Real funny videos. And I think he just moved on to podcasting, really, kind of like H3. H3 doesn't really produce any YouTube content anymore other than their podcast.
Actually, which is up for an award.
Oh, really?
Because they have
They have a category for drama.
They have a podcast category, Steve.
Oh.
This is how I'm going to get a streaming
podcast.
Through a podcast. Chad and Steve have a podcast.
Yeah.
Best podcast of the year 2024. I realize that everything's recorded now. So if that ends up being a thing,
that would be creepy. That would be so weird. It was like, damn, they predicted it. But the numbers are looking good on our podcast. I'm really happy with it. And it's like, it's true what people were saying, the Apple podcast, a lot of people still listen over there. It kind of surprised me. I didn't realize it was still kind of a thing. I remember, iTunes back in the day, but I've never been an Apple user, so I don't really know, other than when I had an iPod and you had to have iTunes to download.
Sorry, did you just say iPod?
I did.
You had an iPod? Did you? What was
iPod.
What was the first iPod you bought? Did you buy an iPod 1 when they?
What the first iPod I had was the iPod Video. It was a little video one on there. It had a itty bitty screen on it, and I don't even remember if it was touch screen or not. And I don't remember, but I do remember it was and I think that's what it was called. It was the iPod Video. And
64 megs of storage, so you could watch exactly 13 seconds of video on the screen before you had to like.
But I got so frustrated just trying to download songs and having to try to work the whole. I thought it was a real convoluted way to try to. But I still kind of find that way with Apple products. I get real frustrated with them. They don't seem as intuitive to me, but it's just because I'm not used to them, I guess.
Do you miss the ownership of songs?
No, not at all. No.
You don't care?
Yeah. If I got Spotify, I'm happy. I'm not like a power listener. I don't have headphones in my ears all day long. Some people listen to music all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't. I listen to probably more podcasts now. If I'm at the gym or something, I'll listen to podcasts more than I'll listen to music. I listen to music, like if we're eating dinner or something, I'll just cast it to my Roku TV, the Spotify. But everything I want to listen to is on Spotify.
It's true, but you do sometimes kind of realize that you have like your favorite songs and whatnot, and you just kind of like are renting them. And like when you're not near your phone or you're not near a computer and you're just like, I want to listen to something. It's like, let me go get my phone, log into Spotify.
True.
Find the song. And there was an element of liking it. It's like, I got that song on my phone. That's like my phone. I like that. Being able to listen to it anytime, whether I have Wi-Fi or not. But I don't know. That could just also be cranky old man. I don't know if I get it. I don't have space. We have a channel about decluttering, so I certainly don't want to bring in like CD. I don't want to bring CDs back with the case that used to snap and whatever and the little whatever. But I miss liner notes and I miss lyric.
I do too. Just the album, the cover art, everything.
And then the thought of putting an album together clearly is a little more lost because we just digest kind of like a song and then a shuffle play and let's just do this. You don't have kind of beginning. I mean, you do, but it's not. The platforms don't promote kind of listening to it in that way.
So I think the new way of music, from what I'm gathering, and this, I think a lot of this started with Old Town Road. That the song that was such a hit with. I think like Billy Ray Cyrus got involved in that. And so, but there was like so many different versions of this song because you can you're not putting it on a disc or anything. So why that song got traction so much was just because there were just so many ways that he was recording and releasing it. Every single time he would release a new version of this thing. And so they're saying, one article I was reading is this is sort of looking at what the future of music is. And I think a lot of it is here right now, is that the kind of the whole album, format is probably not going, it'll probably still be around, but it's not going to really be the thing when you can just release songs as you're done with them.
Yes. And they're just figuring out different ways to, it seems like it's an easier way to fudge numbers, because it used to be like album sales. You literally
Right.
needed to have all of the companies and stores and whatnot that sold albums report, purchases. So therefore you could say like this album has sold 1 million copies. So in whatever, the United States, there's 1 million people who own this album. And now that they're starting to count, obviously they count streams, I get it, off of Spotify and all of the rest, but now it's also like there's this element of like YouTube video streams. It's like Justin Timberlake, when he releases a song, downloading it on iTunes is one thing, putting up the teaser video, the lyric video, the official music video, the alternative, music videos featuring, Ja Rule, and all of these other elements. And you see it when there's a rapper called Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Oh,
He's a
sure.
very
Yeah.
colorful person. So if you don't know him by name, he's the guy with the rainbow hair and the rainbow teeth and all of
Yeah.
the rest. And whether or not you like his music, you at least have to tip the hat of seeing the way that YouTube and the promotion on YouTube is such an important aspect, because it's not about going and purchasing a song. It's literally about getting as many streams on the same song as possible. So therefore your stream numbers go up. So therefore you end up being quote unquote on the charts and you get additional whatever. And clearly people who are hustling and trying to get noticed would end up doing this stuff. But I read an article about how Justin Bieber is doing this with whatever his latest album was that he released a few months ago, and he did exactly that. And I went to his YouTube channel and like, you son of a gun, you literally did. And they all have very similar thumbnails, so they all look like you're listening to whatever his yum 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 or whatever that
Right.
song was that he was promoting. And there was the lyric video, the trailer for it, the trailer for the lyric video, the trailer for the official video coming, interviews and behind the scene, and all of them were 100 million views, 45
Right.
million. And the same with Tekashi 6ix9ine, just does various. So therefore now you have this one song which is getting exposed 1 billion kind of times in like 100 different ways, versus just like release a song,
Right.
put it on your album in the right place, hope that radio picks it up and people go out and buy the album based upon the strength of that one song. And that's what you think about when you're a musician and sitting down, you're like, I want to put this out. And now the whole mindset's just like, how can I bang a single out there and then get a video and then try to do this and then so on and
Yeah,
so
I
forth.
think YouTube is especially relevant because not only are you getting all of that exposure from the songs and all the different variations of it that you're putting out there, but you're getting a lot of traction by all of these people who are posting reaction videos to it and reviews and everything
They're
that
fine.
shows up. I mean, especially a guy like 6ix9ine who's had a lot of, I guess, legal problems, and
That's
he's
a
kind
nice
of
way to put it.
yeah. So he's one of those people that will just engender a response.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I get that. It's the way business is done. And when I saw Justin Bieber doing it, I'm like, all right, this is clearly the way that these things are done, and this is the way that you get exposure now. And you're right. And YouTube Music uses Justin Bieber's, like, you can use without any like they started making it where like popular songs, like, use them, remix them in your video as many times as you want. You won't get copyright strike if you do a cover of it or if you do a whatever. And as you point out, that's just like so much more exposure
Wow.
for a song.
So much traction.
It is.
You know what I wrote down on our random thoughts topic ideas page?
What's that?
I was just looking through that and I was thinking, I know and the very first one I put on there, and I forgot I put this on there. How sad people who literally watch live streams of cats. So last week I was watching a live stream.
So sorry, the sad person was you.
Yes. I mean, I was thinking, what has my life become? I'm watching a live stream, and the live stream had like 8,000 viewers at the one time. It was amazing. And it's just cats. That's
How
it.
much time? How much time did you invest in this?
Oh, I was probably watching for a good 10 minutes.
I mean, we're in that, like, is it
Don't judge me.
I can't. I was looking at CPG Gray's channel just the other day, and he posted, like, he went on a road trip or something like that. So just randomly on his channel, he posted like a 7-hour long video of him driving from Arizona to wherever, somewhere. And he just kind of recorded it in real time. No music, no nothing. And man, if I did not watch that for an hour and 30 minutes, because I'd done a similar drive, so I wanted to see some things.
And he's so good at what he does. He's one of those creators on YouTube. He's one of the few that I will watch every single video as soon as it's posted. I don't miss it. I love CGP Gray's videos.
Yeah. I mean, there's another one that would probably be, there's a great learning and education channel. Not too sciencey. He really goes deep, and a really wonderful, style of actually delivering it, and such a soothing voice.
Oh yeah.
Such a soothing voice.
So one of these faceless channels,
Now that we're starting to get some people who are commenting on YouTube videos for the podcast, it's been interesting to see, and we did exchange that there was a comment that was left which was a little ambiguous, and it made us laugh, because it's one of those comments where it's like, is this person, are they trolling? Is it English as a second language? Is it just, you're just not very bright? Not too sure exactly what it was, but I was it made me think about just some of the stuff that we do on our channel for comment moderation. I wanted to ask you this for a while. What do you do on your channel as far as comment moderation?
Well, first of all, I've got like hundreds of blacklisted words, and most of those are from spammy sales kind of things. And there's a lot of this, there's a whole woodworking thing where it's a scammy product that goes out there, and it's one of these multi-level marketing things. And so I get all those keywords. And then there's kind of like your run-of-the-mill snotty, you know what I have, this is pretty funny. One of the words I have blacklisted is just unsubscribe, just because it annoys me when people have to physically say that I am now unsubscribing. I don't care.
What if someone left a comment though, I'm unsubscribing just to subscribe again, Steve? Because
I've had a few of those, and once in a while I'll catch those, because it puts it in a holding tank. You're on the Creator Studio, you can look through them, but I let most comments, whatever anybody wants to say is fine. Those bizarre comments where you just read them and you're like, first of all, I look to see if it's just English as a second language, and if that's the case, I cut them slack. I understand that. But then there's some where I look, the guy's like from Texas or something. I'm like, what? This guy cannot string together a sentence. I have no idea. But every time I see those, I always take a screen cap of it, because I love saving these things. I just find them amusing. But I don't usually respond to those, and that's sort of my strategy. The only time I delete comments is if somebody is just really, I could just tell, just trying to be snotty. That's the only thing they're trying to do. And even if it's like something I can't really pin my finger on, I know what they're trying to do, and I'll just delete it.
And that's just to not give the comment space.
Right.
And I agree that, because that's what perhaps those people are looking for, which is just like, it's still there, so we can still see it. Or it's
I think the way when you okay, you can delete a comment, but if you block a user, and I've had to block some users, I think they can still post comments. It's just nobody sees them.
I believe it is the most, we talked about the second most brilliant thing being the 1 in 10 feature, or like being able to see your last 10 videos and how this video is doing in relation to it. It's so handy. The handiest feature is the hide this user's comments.
Right.
And you can just access it by going to like your comment feed, and you can just whatever. And
I just love that.
I do the same thing that you do, as in we'll leave some comments there because they're safe enough to leave there, and I want whatever other people will react to this to be able to react to this, as in I don't want to like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's something which is obviously just horrible, that just gets removed. But then there's those people who just think that they're doing, you know, they got you, they got your number because they watch all your content and da, da, da. So you can't like remove the comment because it's like, well, I mean, you know, whatever. I don't want to just like remove your comment because I don't like what you have to say. But it's like, I can tell, I think what you're saying is like, I can tell that you're doing it in a certain way. I can tell that you're trying to like, you're just doing it to get under my skin. You're just doing it to be a bit of a dick. And I appreciate that, like, it is the internet and that kind of comes with the territory. YouTube gave us a feature and it's hide this user, and no one aside from them will ever be able to see their comments again. So it's like placing them in a like a glass, like taking a, it's like trapping a spider almost.
Yep.
And it's just like, cool, you can yell to your heart's content. You will get no engagement on your comments. They'll be posted. It's not like you've been banned from post. No. You think you're being heard.
Nobody sees it.
You keep coming and checking the videos and it's still there, but you don't ever get any reactions to your comment. And I think it is just a wonderful way to just get them caught in a loop. And it's like, all right, you go talk to yourself for a while.
I think a lot of people spend so much time just wrapped up in, and it's not just YouTube, it's everywhere, just wrapped up in the world of debate. And they always are looking for something to, so I mean, I'll post the most innocuous video about a cats. It's always about the cats. I need to come up with different examples. I'm obsessed with these cats. I'll do something like that, and then somebody somehow has to put in like some sort of a political statement. Well, you know, this wouldn't happen if this guy was president, or this, and I'm like, what? Wait, where did that come from? What? This is not the format for that. Go over to Twitter. They'll love you over there.
Oh, exactly. You'll get 100,000 followers with that kind of talk.
So like not everything has to be debatable. Not everything has to have sides taken on it. Just enjoy it.
I remember there was a time, I guess it was a few years ago. I'm assuming it was after Donald Trump was elected president, and we found ourselves kind of in the whatever it is that we're in right now. And the large news outlets, like traditional newspapers, I don't know if the New York Times or the Washington Post, I don't know the actual specifics, but a lot of them that used to have comment sections just started doing away with the comment sections, because it's just like, this isn't commentary, this is an editorial, we're just trying to report like, here's the thing and da da da. But now we find ourselves where like we have such free reign to have everybody's comments so freely incorporated into the huge conversation that builds a community, and that as opposed to just, there's a wonderful simplicity in like, I read an article about something and it made me feel a few certain ways, and I'm not too sure, and I'm not sure if I even need to have an opinion, versus you read an article, or the best is not, and Reddit is great for this, you don't even read the article, you just go to the comments, and whatever the top comment is now what I feel about this headline that I just read. It's like, man, you have no context about the story, you have no whatever. And I think that's just kind of running rampant in general. Like everybody has this whole like, my opinion matters too, I don't like this and I disagree.
I think then there's a lot of that, and I'm guilty of a little bit of that on YouTube when I hear about some sort of I don't know, some video that, you know, somebody's done something, oops, they probably shouldn't have said that or something, and then you hear about it. I think like the guy, remember the guy who was suing Ethan Klein for something, and so I went to go look at his video, and as soon as his video started playing, I just hit pause, because all I wanted to do was read the comments. I just wanted to see, okay, what's all this fuss about? And oh my God, that was an eye opener. It was like every single comment was just hate. It was just all hate. So it feels like, and I remember looking through that and thinking, oh, I feel dirty reading through this, because it's almost like it doesn't really matter what the guy was, what he was talking about or anything. It was just like suddenly he became this vessel of hate that anybody could just spew off just the most vile stuff they wanted to, with probably not even really understanding what all was going on. They had just seen the H3 video, and so that was kind of my exposure with that. But I've done that on a couple of videos where I hear about some sort of little controversy, and I'll just go and just to read the comments, and yeah, it is pretty sleazy, I guess.
Yeah, there's certainly a place for it, as much as there's a place for watching live streams of cats or whatever. There's certainly a place for doing deliberate, like there's drama channels, and there's channels that that you can go to kind of get your fill of that kind of whatever. But it's just in general, and that's why I gave a lot of respect to the newspapers which decided to do that. It's like, let's just cut off the everybody needing to have a voice. Let's just report whatever, and you can. I just remember a time where you used to read something and then just kind of think for yourself and like form your own opinion, and your opinion didn't change based upon like just literally reading 1, 2, or 3 sentence long comment, which was enough to be like, oh, well, that makes complete sense. So now I think about that. And it kind of starts to become kind of like herd mentality, where it's like, I'll believe whatever the top rated, most like acceptable way that this got digested. That's what I think about this.
And the way everybody has taken sides on everything now, it's just like everything is just either black or white. You have to take one or two, A or B.
Nuance, and PewDiePie was right when he went through. I think it was when like there was a Washington Post. It wasn't Washington Post. It was someone else.
Yeah, he had his share of that.
Wall Street Journal, I believe, and there was a reporter that wrote this whole thing, and it was based upon him wearing an old military outfit, in completely out of context. And they used that with some of his stuff, which is 100% he needs to be held responsible for. But so much context got lost in that, and he literally went after, or he made a kind of like some bold statements, being like, where did context go in
I remember that.
Like, you just read a headline and you think and I realized that it was true when I would have conversations with other people who I trust, I liked, family, friends, whoever, and they would just pipe up with like, oh, well, PewDiePie, he's the da-da-da-da, and like saying things in a factual kind of way, or like their opinion has been affected because we are uncomfortable with being like, I don't have an opinion on that. Doesn't mean I support what he did or not support what he did. It means I wasn't there. I don't understand the context, and at least I understand PewDiePie because I've watched him for many, many, many years. So I understand the context of what they were, whatever. But when that gets called out, I mean, people don't stop to kind of read or pay attention anymore. And that's just been incubated so much that, man, it's time for this ride to stop. I want to get off the roller coaster.
you know Penn Jillette, don't you, from Penn and Teller? And I read everything of his. I listen to his podcast and everything. But one of his
very, very much like Penn.
One of his quotes I read in one of his books was, and I'm paraphrasing here, was something like, the 3 of the most liberating words you can say are, I don't know. And just to admit that I just don't know about something. And it does. It frees you to be like, I don't have to form an opinion on everything because I just don't know. I don't know enough about something. And I think that's why people take these shortcuts. It's like, well, I'll just look through the comments. And if I see somebody who, might have something that I agree with on one thing, then I'm just going to agree with that person. And then it just becomes this, you're only looking for people who support that opinion. And it's like you were saying, these people who were commenting on PewDiePie had never seen PewDiePie. They didn't know his vast body of work on YouTube. And yet you can pull this one thing out of context and inform a whole opinion about somebody.
And it's sad, but it's kind of the state of the union right now. We're in this strange time where you're right. It's also hard to identify with something which has been kind of been placed on the other side. So it's hard to have nuance in your life and be like, I support some of this, but I also think this is important. And people are like, well, you think that? Well, then you must be this. And everything needs to get categorized.
Social media fans these flames because it's their whole business model is built around conflict and disagreements. Especially Facebook now is where like your posts will get way more traction if it's something controversial, if it's something that has the likes to, I guess they don't have dislikes, but you have this ratio of people who like it, don't like it. Those are the ones that get elevated and get more traction. When you get people heated up about something, emotionally involved in something, Facebook loves it, sells ads.
And it ends up becoming the barometer or the temperature of a community. And I was watching a video earlier about someone talking about troll comments and managing them and whatnot and curating them, so therefore you don't necessarily harbor a comment section where people are either attacking one another or attacking you, or just having the overarching thought being it's more important to have the engagement be positive engagement for the community building aspect, as opposed to having, oh, this has 3,000 comments, they're all toxic, and that being like, oh yeah, but that's better engagement, versus when we don't do something controversial or don't whatever, and we don't get many comments for that, so it doesn't engage the video as much, or what have you. It's
Do you guys have any one video that has like is
we have one.
controversial, or you get any kind of that sort of thing on it?
It was our very first viral video. I think I've told this story before, but the video was shot of, it was Melissa cleaning grout, and Melissa was kind of wearing just what looked like, when she was standing up, a regular cut top. However, when she was cleaning grout lying on the floor, what ended up kind of opening up and sharing to YouTube a little bit of her cleavage. And it wasn't done intentionally, but that was back in the days before you could get customized thumbnails. You had to have a certain amount of subscribers or a certain amount of views before you could unlock
Right.
being able to have custom thumbnails, and you could only choose the 3 random ones that YouTube gave, and YouTube picked those because it's like, hey, this is some lady's cleavage. It's going to get a lot of clicks, and it did. It was our first big video as far as that was concerned, for several reasons, but also because anyways, it brought out a whole bunch of people who saw that, assumed that based upon the thumbnail that we were doing it deliberately to get clicks, then watched a 10-minute video where a person does an excellent job of showing you how to clean your grout, and then takes the time, will take the time to leave a comment and just be like, oh, I'd like to clean your grout, or like, clearly there's all the sexual comments because she's a woman, and because there was like, cleavage involved, and then there's
so
all
weird.
Just the people.
It's like, don't they realize that there's like a whole vast internet? Pornhub exists.
Yeah, and
you don't
even
on YouTube is what? Okay.
Straining to see this little bit of cleavage, which is in between the boobs. That isn't even boob. You're not even looking at boob. You're looking at not boob. The space between them. Anyways, it was the one video that we completely unedited. We call it the Wild West. It is. There's no filtering on that video's comments deliberately, just to see what it attracts, and it attracts all sorts from the people who are like, oh, it's crazy that so many people clicked to watch this stupid video about cleaning grout just because there was a hot chick in the thumbnail. And I used to love replying to those comments. It's very strange that you said that on a video about cleaning grout that you're watching, posted by, like, why are you here if people who come by to judge the people who got sucked into being clickbaited or whatnot. Anyways,
that one would attract all sorts of people, like the defenders, the shamers, that's just, that's right. I have my one video that I've also kind of almost given up ownership of, and it's my most viewed video, is the nail through the wood gimmick trick that I just shot on a lark, but I added a soundtrack to it, which has never been copyright claimed. I don't know how, but the song I just thought it was an interesting song. It kind of accompanied the video, and the video did really well. But it was only a few years ago that all of a sudden the comments started in on this whole us and them kind of thing, like, this song is left-wing propaganda, and then it would be followed up by, this song is just right-wing propaganda. It would literally, they would be like both sides interpreting this same song differently, and it just got so much that I like you said, it's the wild west. I just let it go, and I feel like I don't even really own that video anymore, even though it does great on AdSense. It's like one of my top earners every month, because it's just a cash cow.
It ends up feeling, that's a very good way to put it. It feels like it's like an estranged video. Like, because it has been taken over by what we were talking about earlier, like lack of context, like the whole comment section and probably the large percentage of the viewership is now fueled by whatever conversation is currently happening in the, and I'll go to some of our other videos and you'll see conversations which have been happening over the past 6 or 8 months on videos which are years old, and they have this weird second resurgence on a lot of the comments, which are back and forth and people arguing about things, and they have like 800 likes. It's like, where's all this traffic coming from just to like troll in the comments? Like, is this the only reason why this video is now doing well in our archive, is because there's this huge argument or disagreement or back and forth?
Probably so. Yeah. I mean,
And
I'm sure that's the way my video is just because it's constantly being engaged with in a way that other old videos, that video is 10 years old, you know? It's crazy.
Wow. Have you ever thought about taking that exact same thumbnail and the exact same title and doing some type of reboot of that video to see if it actually was something as simple as, like, it's such a good thumbnail that you would literally do like a reboot video or a 10-year anniversary video? What do you know when the video was launched?
I think it was probably 10 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was 2010. It may have been earlier than that. So
do a
we would be
follow up and do a similar style or the exact same thumbnail to see if it works again.
People have tried to copy it and done the exact same thing, and they'll try to do variations on the title. And it's also my most copied video. You know, when you get people who re-upload your videos, that's one of the most common ones that they re-upload. But no, I don't think I would, because it just, like I said, it doesn't even feel like my video anymore. And I barely even remember shooting it. It was such a spur of the moment thing. It was just a cool little gimmick. You know, you boil wood, you squish it down, you put a nail through it, and I never.
Spoiler alert. I had no idea, by the way. You just mentioned it, like I figured there was a whatever, but you boil the wood and that.
Yeah, you boil it and you squish it down.
Tracks. That makes sense.
But it's just you know, it's just one of those things you can't predict. And it's like we were saying with viral content. Everybody says that you can't predict viral content. You can't create viral content.
No, not anymore. Well, I don't know if ever. I think all of the people that stumbled into it, and we've been trying our best to replicate it. And I think you can replicate it with success, but not that secret sauce that takes something that was previously nothing and shoots it into the stratosphere. Like this podcast will end up being in 2024 when we win Podcast of the Year, 2024.
I'm going 2022. I'm going to be optimistic.
That's bold. So that gives us all of next year. What episode are we on?
This is episode 9. Wow.
Are we going to do anything special for the 10th episode? Like, should we look back at the previous 10?
Retrospective.
Do like a retrospective.
Our long podcast career.
Greatest hits.
No, it's a ton of fun. Man, I love this podcast. It's great. And I'm glad people are finding it. Really, I think it makes it all the more worthwhile, because we were kind of just speaking into a vacuum for a long time, you know, and it's now the world hears.
And it's really nice to read the comments for people who are watching on YouTube. So please continue to leave comments and say hello and let us know you're here. It's so wonderful. Thank you very much for everyone who has joined in to this fun, because it is fun. I look forward to this more than anything each week.
Yeah, and we've got some guests lined up. We've got 2 guests lined up. I'm not going to say who they are, but the first one will be November 6th, I think. I don't know if you got that email, but anyways, that's when our first guest, and then from then on, we're going to have some more.
Yeah. And if you can think of anybody who might be interested in being a guest, you can let us know.
Pitch yourself. Give us your elevator pitch.
Do we have another episode before Halloween? Or is this
because Halloween is a week from Saturday. So yeah, we'll have another one.
Then I jumped the gun with my Halloween themed shirt, and I'll have to.
Oh no, it's okay. I like the shirt though.
Thank you. It says "I got a rock." For those of you who remember Charlie Brown, he always got a rock.
I watched that again. I used to always watch it, and it would been a long time since I'd seen it. And then I saw it a few years ago. Well, probably more than a few years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago. And after having a kid, you know, and I looked at it with a whole different set of eyes, and I thought, this is like really cruel. It's like the kids are just bullying him. They're just downright mean to Charlie Brown, and it's like, ew, I don't really. It left a bad taste in my mouth.
Charlie Brown was my favorite character growing up. I went as Charlie Brown probably like 6 years in a row or something like that. Because my
Really?
mom made me a shirt, literally bought me a yellow shirt and then
Oh,
made the
nice.
zigzag line along the bottom. I always loved Charlie Brown because he, out of every cartoon or comic or whatever, was 100% the most relatable. Like as a kid, you watch cartoons and everybody's a superhero and everybody does whatever, and this was this
Right.
kid who like didn't understand Christmas, who didn't know what all the fuss was about, was just sometimes like literally was just sitting on a wall and just like,
Yeah.
ooh, like literally embraced kind of like, I'm sad and I have whatever. And I remember that being so like relatable, and I'm like, I love Charlie Brown and I want to root for him, but I know Lucy's going to pull the football away.
Every time.
He's going to
Every
spin
time.
around. That's going to make me laugh. That gives me that payoff of like, that's funny. But there's something so wonderful because I felt like I was that kid who got the football yanked away every single time.
Aw, poor Chad.
Now this has just become a therapy session.
Womp, womp, womp. We're going to end on a downer. One thing we got to do is figure out how to end these podcasts. I feel like I never know how to wrap it up. You know, how do people wrap up podcasts? I'm trying to remember. And I think they just, that's it. Thanks. Goodbye.
My approach was to tell a depressing story from childhood.
That works.
I figured to end on the lowest note possible so people will really be excited about joining us next week when we'll talk about way more exciting things.
Oh, man. Yeah. We'll go with the depressing stories every time. But you did have that really good intro. So that makes up for it.
And we got that going for us.
So
the intro, which now I have pressure on because now I need to actually do it.
Right. We just need to figure out the outro. There's a YouTube word. I think that started with YouTube. Outro.
An outro.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You want to think of one right now? Should I put you on the spot, or should
no? I have nothing. I got nothing.
So
I have to just sit here and probably talk for the next hour. I have to reel myself in.
So maybe episode 10 should just be like an hour of closings. Like it just closed each of the previous 10 episodes.
Thank you all for joining us. This has been a great podcast. Listen to us.
Yeah, and I don't know what to do. Like, did we go through all of it? It's like, hey, follow us on Spotify and YouTube. We have a Twitter account, an Instagram account. You can also subscribe and click the bell icon on YouTube.
There you go. You just did it.
There we go.
That's
all right. So let's just record that, and then we'll just play it.
If somebody's listening to this, they already know how to do all that stuff, right?
If you made it this deep into episode 9, I'm thinking you're probably subscribed. And if you're not, then you should do that right now. There's the ending.